not that it doesn't happen, but when that's not the point.
Yes.
That would be small.
Yeah, but when that people call, that's
Yeah, well, that's what this is. That's your sister. They call to, they would call to,
whenever you call, when the clear sees appear.
then those are
What?
You always prepared.
Have to compensate for you, Luis.
You know I wasn't on it.
Actually, no, because you ignored the security stuff.
Walk into that.
Yes, he did. Is that okay? It's not on your. Is that okay with you?
Lazy was easier to see. In their roots.
Everybody good? Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to FBI Atlanta. My name is Special Agent in Charge Kerry Farley. Today we are here to discuss Operation Cross Country and the tremendous work our teams have done here in Atlanta. Operation Cross Country's primary goal is to recover child sex trafficking victims and shine the spotlight on the national problem to raise the public's awareness. We also hope to send the message that we, as a law enforcement community, remain vigilant in taking down those who prey on our country's most innocent population. Operation Cross Country is part of the larger Innocence Lost national initiative that has located or identified more than 6,000 minor victims of commercial sex trafficking and has resulted in the conviction of over 2,700 subjects since its inception 19 years ago. This year, nationally, Operation Cross Country is responsible for locating 84 minor victims of child sex trafficking and sexual exploitation offenses. 141 adult victims of human trafficking were located, and 37 actively missing children were found. Locally, we have joined up with our law enforcement partners to address the problem of domestic sex trafficking of children here in the metro Atlanta area. In the last 2 weeks, 28 child victims were located. Of those, 9 children were being commercially sexually exploited, and 4 human trafficking suspects were arrested. Additionally, 18 actively missing children were located. We are proud to be a part of Operation Cross Country and the outstanding results achieved by all those involved. The work to locate and identify sex trafficking victims continues year-round through the great work of the Metro Atlanta Child Exploitation Task Force. Anytime the FBI receives intelligence that a child is or may be a victim of human trafficking, we make every effort to identify and recover that child. Commercial sex trafficking is a heinous crime that impacts our youth in communities across the country. We strive to provide hope to other victims so that they will trust we will never stop in our efforts to bring child sex traffickers to justice and help child victims get to a safe place. We do this work as a team effort, and representatives from 4 of our partner agencies are here today. I would like to thank you all for your leadership and efforts on this important initiative. I'd like to introduce Atlanta Police Department Assistant Chief Carvin Tice, Dunwoody Chief of Police Billy Grogan, Cobb County Special Victims Unit Lieutenant N.T. Brown, and Fulton County Chief Deputy Antonio Johnson. Anybody would like to say a few words?
Good afternoon. My name is Billy Grogan. I'm the Chief of Police of the Dunwoody Police Department. The FBI is a critical partner in our efforts to identify and rescue adults and children who are being victims of sex trafficking. It's an issue that a lot of people don't want to talk about, but it's certainly something that's prevalent, more than most people know. And you can look at the stats from Operation Cross Country to certainly note that. We're a proud partner of the Match Task Force, and we look forward to our continued partnership with the FBI on this important effort. Thank you.
Thank y'all. The Cobb County Police Department as well, proud to be members of the Match Task Force and the relationships with all the metro law enforcement jurisdictions here in Atlanta. In addition to all the victims that were recovered during this operation, I know in Cobb County and the city of Dunwoody, numerous offenders were apprehended after detectives conducted online exploitation investigations seeking offenders who go online for the purpose of finding and meeting underage victims. And I know in Cobb County, those individuals, those offenders, drove from outside of our county into the county for that purpose. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to take a couple of questions on Operation Cross Country only. Can anyone talk a little bit about how you were able to apprehend these alleged perpetrators that he mentioned, online activity? Can anyone talk a little bit about that?
So, not in specific. Just for the sake of the integrity of our operations and to ensure future ones can continue, we're not going to go into specifics.
Can you go into any basic thing about like how the operation works?
Or even if you could explain how these perpetrators solicit these victims. You guys have mentioned that this happens online using dating apps and stuff like that. If you can talk a little bit more to that point.
Sure. Pretty much exactly what you said. Most of these suspects that we've identified are using dating apps and websites all over the internet, a lot of them using encrypted websites that make it a little bit harder for us to track, and they do everything they can to obscure themselves. But through our efforts, we're able to track them down and are able to effectuate arrests when they're located trying to engage in this activity.
Can you talk about the youngest victim you guys came across?
Sure. During this current thing of Operation Cross Country, our victims ranged in age here in Atlanta from 14 to 17 years old. Nationally, the youngest victim was 11 years old.
Were the victims from here, from the Atlanta
Yes, I can't go into specifics of their location at this time.
So
They were recovered here.
Are all of your victims online when they're targeted?
The victims themselves,
Right.
not necessarily. Sometimes it's the human traffickers that have the online communications and they bring the victims in for the acts themselves. The victims are not necessarily always communicating online.
What's your parents do to keep their children safe? What's your parents do to keep the children safe? Because it's not something that just happened that past 2 weeks. It's something that happened year round every day.
Absolutely. This is a growing concern, and every parent should be concerned about their children and their online activity. I urge every parent to understand what their children are doing online. There are lots of applications that can help you have awareness of your children's online activities. And it's important to have conversations, to engage with your child, to let them know that this type of activity does exist and that they could potentially be targeted. And to really not communicate with people that they do not know online.
Are most of the victims run away?
Excuse me?
Most of the victims are run away?
I don't know if I'd say most of the victims are runaway, but we were able to locate a lot of children that were previously on the National Missing and Exploited Children list as a runaway child or a missing child. So I think there's a combination.
On your experience, have you seen more Hispanic victims on this type of crimes?
I don't think I have that information. I don't know if anybody else does in terms of the makeup of the victims.
As far as the children who are active missing children cases, how long were they missing? You seem to have it all as far as, you know, a matter of days, weeks, months, how long were you looking for these kids before they were running out?
Yeah.
What's the range?
I'm looking at my supervisor over there, everybody, Johanna Norman. There's a varying range. There's no specific in terms of, you know, whether it's just recent to years. Sorry.
We'll take one more question.
What is it that makes Atlanta such a hotbed? What is it about Metro Atlanta?
I think everybody, I hope, would agree. Unfortunately, child sexual exploitation and trafficking is a national problem. I'd like to think that our teams here execute a really good plan of investigation, and that's why we're so successful in our numbers. Our numbers speak that we are very successful. I'd like to think that that's because of the work of our great teams here.
Just one question about resources for the victims, like what's being done to help them after they went through this traumatic experience.
Absolutely. So all of our teams, especially in the FBI, we have victim resource specialists that engage with our victims and try to provide them all the resources necessary to continue to be in a safe space. So those resources range from education to housing to try and reconnect them with family members that can support them in a safe space. And then a whole host of other social services we work with to make sure that the victims have everything they need.
It isn't true that some of
Thank
these
you.
victims
I think
don't
that's
make
our last question.
Thank you
guys.
very much.
We're going to be putting out the press release online. If you haven't gotten